Did you ever felt unworthy of anyone's attention? Did you ever felt exhausted after socializing for 1 hour? What if I told you that introversion is not a weakness, but rather a powerful advantage that can turn you into a confident and charming person capable of accomplishing anything he wants to? Some introverts I know have hours of fun socializing, but after that, they feel like they need to recover for 2 whole days. People say introversion is something you have to fix, but the reality is that it is not true. Instead, I will explain you how to use introversion to your advantage and become that capable and unstoppable person you always wanted to be. Stick with me to the end and follow carefully each one of the steps I'll explain, so I can show you how it's done. Chapter 1. Trying to change yourself. You walk in your classroom and then someone asks, "Why are you so quiet?" Then, you have to deal with an extrovert environment. For example, an open classroom or open workplaces with zero privacy. Everything at your surroundings is screaming at you that you have to change. Your teacher tells you that he'll give you extra points for participating, and in the job, you're judged for your networking skills. And your success metric is about how well can you sell yourself. So society is rewarding the loud guy, the unfearful, and the socializing guy, while our introverts just left behind. This makes the average introvert to push himself beyond his limits and denying our privacy needs. The average introvert judges himself for not being the guy other people want to, and slowly, the introverts turn into a persona, disconnected from their true selves. I remember one time on my job where I used to speak even when I had nothing valuable to say, just to make my coworkers and bosses aware of my engagement. I also went to parties, so my energy drained out. But I was forced to ignore it. Everything was focused on what the world told me I have to do, and feeling bad and disconnected day after day. The moral of the story. Each time you try to be extroverted, you are diminishing your native strengths, like deep thinking, active listening, and the meaningful connections you're more likely to have. Now, I will tell you how to approach this. Chapter 2. The Burnout Momentum. The burnout momentum is that phase when you're burnout from being the extrovert you aren't. For example, my burnout momentum came after countless weeks of being the social guy on work and college. After following the generic advice of hang out more, or sell yourself better, or try again until you learn it, just to feel miserable in the end. Introverts will identify when I talk about watching my phone so time passes faster, and I can leave the fun social event just to fall on my bed without thinking of nothing more than my social failure. The next day, I couldn't concentrate on anything. That's the point where I realized something has to change. I had to improve myself, not the world, not the people. When you think of social failure, you may wonder, what's wrong with you? While watching social media, where everyone seems to be happy and satisfied on meetings and parties, your burnout momentum may come in the form of health issues that force you to change emotionally, burnout at work, or the reflective moment you realize you can't deny yourself anymore. The burnout momentum comes with pain, but also with a long-term profit I'll describe you. Have you ever asked how extroverts have to become introverts sometimes? Like for concentrating, thinking to solve not-so-simple problems. I got rid of the I have to be an extrovert issue by asking the following question. Chapter 3. The magic question. The question that made me transform my life for the best was incredibly simple. A 6-words question that would change forever my perception. The magic question was, how do I spend my energy? Most people ask, how do I become more extroverted? Or how do I manage to not be awkward? Or how do I become a better networker at my job? The question of how to manage my energy was more personal and fit with my introvert being. Also, the question is objective and goal-focused. Because instead of trying to judge or change my own personality, the question focuses on one of the most valuable sources an introvert can have, your energy. You may realize that some type of socialization creates energy instead of consuming it. For example, deep conversations with your true friends, cooperative work for meaningful projects, teaching others about the stuff you like, while other activities drain out your energy. For example, networking events, office gossiping, partying. When you ask where you have to spend your energy, you're not denying yourself, but instead embracing yourself. You're not comparing with others, but rather optimizing the amount of energy you use. Instead of following generic advice, you create your own path depending on what is convenient to you. I'll make you these questions. What if there is nothing wrong with you? What if introversion is not a bubble that cowers you from the outside world, but a powerful engine that optimizes energy to achieve what you really want? What if I tell you that you don't have to change your own persona to fit with your environment, but instead configure your environment so it fits exactly with your goals and your true self? Chapter 4. Introvert Dynamics. Once you ask yourself how to optimize your energy, you realize something very important. Introversion is not static, it's dynamic. It depends on the situation. You manage to not isolate from social interaction, but instead define the environment that fits you well. You ask yourself, when, where, how long, with who? A lunch with your friends is less energy-consuming than a session of sales-pitching strangers on a cocktail. Both are social environments, but they impact you in almost opposite ways. So now you are not seeking an introvert or extrovert dynamic, but instead setting a energy-fueling activities versus energy-consuming activities. Deep talking with close people is energy-fueling, while small talk to a stranger is energy-depleting. Make the job of listing your energy-fueling activities. And also like and subscribe to this video. Now, you're not an antisocial, but rather a selectively social person. And that can boost you to the next level, because your environment is not to party and destroy yourself with non-productive activities, but making progress on activities that makes you better day after day. Chapter 5. Energy Management. This chapter is about designing your life. With this chapter, you're not avoiding challenges, but optimizing your energy use so you can get the best of it. Take extroverts as phones with large battery duration, but low performance, and introverts as phones that can process high-demanding tasks, but have to charge regularly. If you use a high-performance cell phone to play a video game from 100% battery until it drops to 1%, the cell phone won't last for too long, and also the battery will deteriorate. Same thing for introverts. If you ignore your needs, keep talking until you're tired, you will burn out. And the next time you try it, you will perform even worse. I'll list you 3 activities that drain your energy fast, just like running 4K graphics on your online game, environments with excessive stimulation, small talk with no purpose, especially with strangers, and low privacy time to deal after interactions. If you track your energy, then you know when you're able to attend to a meeting and when you're not. So keep that in mind. The funny thing with introverts is that they socialize until their energy drops below 0%, so they become social beasts in one night, and then drop off in the bed for 3 days. You definitively want to avoid that. How? Simply leave energy-consuming socialization before your energy drops below 20%. So you can recover faster. Simple as that. If I'm helping you more than ChatGPT and the hookup phrases on the internet, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what you're learning here. Now let's dive into the next chapter. Chapter 6. Depth in your interactions. People tend to confuse speaking with interest and quietness with lack of interest. But the meaningful conversations often happens with long periods of silence. For example, if a friend of you asks you for advice on a serious problem he has, a long pause will help you to come out with a more appropriate answer. While responding in 2 seconds, just drive you to a superficial answer and sub-communicate to the other person that his problem is not a big deal, and you don't care about his situation. People hate that. Some extroverts respond to the statement of, "I was fired from my job," with, "It's fine, just go find another," or, "I am paid triple," while introverts are more eased to take the time of analyzing, understanding, and solving the issue. Nowadays, with all the internet and information, we are overflowed with noise, but not with depth. And introverts are experts on depth territory. You have to exploit that. Introverts have unfair advantages at problem solving, creativity, and empathizing. People think you're caring less, but in reality, you're processing more. You're able to see perspective others don't on 3-second respond interactions. Do you realize how that is an actual strength instead of a weakness? In job meetings, introverts usually stay quiet until they tell the meaningful insight that drives the attention of all members. It's not about frequency, but impact. It is not about talking too much, but rather offering value. It is not talking fluently, but to set yourself to create value with your mind state. When you understand that being quiet is being meaningful, rather than inefficient, everything changes. You stop despising yourself and start showcasing your strengths. Chapter 7. Meaningful Social Connections. The stereotype says that introverts hate people. Introverts hate draining interactions. Instead, we prefer quality over quantity. When you start focusing on meaningful connections, is when the magic happens. Your relations improve. You walk into interactions with more energy, just when it happens with the right people. You're an active listener and better empathizer. Here is how it works. First, identify people that help you instead of drain you. Second, create adequate contexts like hangouts or conversation times. Third, make a recover activity to recharge before and after interactions. By following those steps, you're guaranteed to have less, but fruitful relations with people. Let's address an important issue with this equation: canceling plans. You can do it respectfully and is actually a productive practice, as you may see. Look, actual friends may be interested more in having less, but meaningful interactions with you. Chapter 8. Working Environment. The job market is made for and by extroverts. Networking, sales, relations, appearances, brainstorming. It's all a nightmare. However, you may excel on key aspects nobody has. Let's say deep analysis and deep focus are valuable assets for employers. Introverts are more productive as they can focus on a task instead of reacting to anything. When you start to effort less on networking and start focusing on connection strategies, your bosses will acknowledge it. The work environment is the same as any other. Extroverts may start to make numerous relations while you focus on less but deeper relations. Successful introverts don't shift into extroverts, but rather create contexts where introvert analysis become important. They communicate clearly instead of suffering silently. Chapter 9. Your New Life. Just by asking yourself, how do you spend your energy, is not just to deal with introversion. It's about authentic living. It's about accepting who you are and get the best of it. Instead of shifting your own personality, applying the knowledge described on this video won't change you instantly, but you may see significant progress once you implement it consistently. You may have pushback. You may overcommit. You will face a world that doesn't care who you are, but step by step. And brick by brick, you will come on the top.